Welcome to Supply Chain Now, the voice of global supply chain. Supply Chain Now focuses on the best in the business for our worldwide audience, the people, the technologies, the best practices, and today's critical issues, the challenges and opportunities. Stay tuned to hear from those making global business happen right here on Supply Chain Now.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Scott Luton here with you on Supply Chain Now. Welcome to today's show. Folks, we have got a great show here today as we're continuing one of my favorite series, one that we like to call the Now Generation, right? Where we're sitting down with students and educators from some of the leading supply chain management programs around the world. Today's kind of special. We meet with another top university that's, in fact, my alma mater. Man, we're talking about the University of South Carolina, based in the state capital of Columbia, home to the world-renowned Darla Moore School of Business, and Gartner ranks their operations and supply chain program number 3 in all the land when it comes to supply chain management programs. How about that? So stay tuned for a great conversation featuring brilliant minds that will be setting out to change how supply chain is done in the months, the years, and the decades ahead. So joining me, I want to start with my special co-host here today, Dr. Giuliano Marodin, Continental Chair Professor in Operations and Supply Chain at the Moore School of Business. Now, Giuliano holds a master's and doctorate in industrial engineering. He also has some postdoctorate work there. He has over 20 years of consulting experience globally, having worked with more than 50 companies in hundreds of projects. It gets better, though. As a researcher, Dr. Marodin has published almost 50 academic peer-reviewed articles in a variety of well-respected business and industry publications. Now, I want to welcome in Dr. Giuliano Marodin. Hey, Giuliano, how you doing today?
Hi, Scott. I'm doing very good. Thank you. Thank you very much for having me here. And I'm very proud to be representing this amazing program. I'm very excited also to bring 3 stellar students from our program there, people that I've had the opportunity to work in different projects and classes with. So I'm very excited to see more what they have to say and do.
I am too. I'm thrilled that all y'all are here, and we've been trying to nail this down for quite some time, and Giuliano is the one that made it all happen, and I owe you one, and I look forward to maybe breaking bread with you in person in Columbia down the road a bit. But welcome. Now, you mentioned these rock and roll stars we've got that joining you and I today. Let me go through and introduce each of them, starting with Julie Crouse, a senior at USC studying, of course, operations and supply chain with a concentration, though, in business analytics. Now, Julie is originally from Pepperell, Massachusetts. I think I got that right. She's got a passion for running, doing all sorts of crafts, and she's really involved with the Women in Business Council at USC. Julie, how you doing?
Hi, Scott. I'm good. How are you?
Wonderful. And we got Pepperell right?
Yes, you got it.
Okay, good deal. I don't want to make anybody mad, no matter where they are in the globe. Now, you're joined by Yana Patel, a junior studying operations and supply chain management. She's also pursuing 2 minors, Spanish and political science, with a concentration in data analytics. Now, she's originally from Addison, Illinois. Yana loves to spend time outdoors in nature, as well as dancing. Yeah, we're going to tell on her. And loves music, which she said she uses to escape reality from time to time. Yana, welcome in. How are you doing?
I'm good, Scott. How are you?
Wonderful. And you shared on the pre-show portion, you are in beautiful India right now visiting, I think, family. Is that right?
I am, after 8 years. It's good to be back.
Well, okay. We can't wait to hear some of the stories. So welcome here today.
Thank you.
All right. And then to round out our incredible panel here today, we have Aiden Anderson, a junior at the University of South Carolina Honors College, where he is studying operations and supply chain management and international business with a minor in Spanish. Now, Aiden is originally from the Philadelphia area. He has served as the president of the Supply Chain and Operations Excellence Club, aka SCOPE, and he's already enjoyed a couple of internships in supply chain, including one with the Eastman Chemical Company at their global headquarters. Aiden, how are you today?
Doing well, Scott. Thanks so much for having me.
Great to have you here. Great to have you here. And you were asking some great questions in the pre-show. Man, I'll tell y'all, we've got a great conversation teed up here today. All right, so great panel. I want to start with getting to know each of you all a little bit better, including some passions outside of supply chain that you may have. So Julie, a couple of questions for you. Let's start with the craft piece first. So what's one craft handiwork that you've been most proud of?
Recently, I started making some felt ornaments to give some to family and friends so they can put it on their Christmas trees. So that's been something I've been working on a lot recently.
Okay. You've been ramping up the production
Yes.
of new ornaments. Is that right?
Yes.
Giuliano, is first pass yield okay on these ornaments? Have you had a chance to check that out? No?
Not yet.
No, I did
Not
not.
yet.
I'm waiting to receive mine, but nothing yet.
January.
January. Okay. The delivery has been pushed out a little bit. All right. Let me ask you a kind of more serious question here. You're passionate about being a part of the Women in Business Council at USC that we talked about earlier. What's one particular event or program that's part of your participation that you really enjoy?
Yeah, so one thing I've been able to do this past semester is be the director of our new member program, which is called Webternship, kind of like a little play on words there.
Yeah, I love it.
So we kind of go through the basics of like resumes, headshots. We do a case competition with them, and this past semester we had 150 new members complete that whole project. So that was something that was really fun to be a part of, and that all of our freshmen and sophomore new members get to go through.
That is outstanding. That's got to be setting records. 150 new members. Was that an all-time record?
It's probably pretty up there. This semester we had over 400 members. So
wow. Okay.
big
And
club.
Giuliano, do you get a chance to network and help support the Women in Business Council at USC?
So I don't have much contact with them. We have a few female faculty in our department that are more involved with the women in business studies. So yes, but I'm a lot involved with SCOPE, which is the Operation Supply Chain Student Organization. I help them organize trips to see visit facilities. So they've been to. I've been with them to Boeing. Boeing has a plant in Charleston where they build the big planes here in South Carolina, and also connect them to Coca-Cola and Scheffler, which they did other 2 visits. So I help connect the organization with the industry partners.
Love that. All of that's valuable, right? As we network and gather market intel, that's so important no matter where you are in your journey. And speaking of Boeing, I had a chance to go back to McConnell Air Force Base in Kansas, in Wichita, Kansas, where I served 2 years in the Air Force, and toured the new Boeing refueler, the Pegasus. I think that's the I think KC-46, I think is the model, but it was incredible. And it's amazing having, I was in the KC-146 way back in the day. And to see that then and the new Pegasus now, it's amazing. Innovation is amazing. Really cool. Let's see here. Yana, let's go to you next. I got to ask you, I looked up the village of Addison in the great state of Illinois. What's one? I was looking at some eating establishments, and I saw a couple interesting places. What's one of your favorite places to eat in Addison?
I would say Shoeless Joe's for sure. It's kind of like that community local diner sort of situation.
Okay.
All of my friends after high school, like exams and everything, we would kind of just go to Shoeless Joe's, sit, watch like football. I'm a big football person. So you just eat like burgers, sandwiches, all that fun stuff and have a good time. But haven't really been able to go back home in almost a year now, I'd say, for more than 2 days, just in midst of school, coming to India, internships. So I'm hoping I can go back and visit. Hopefully,
You've been
soon.
busy. Yeah, you've been busy, and
Busy.
And I see that you like playing football too. Is that right?
Yeah, I played a little bit of football back in high school, and I still play pickup here now in school with just some friends that I met freshman year. So every Wednesday night, as kind of a relaxation exercise, we go play in the track field.
Okay, man. I wish I could still play pickup football, but my all three athletic genes have left me a long time ago. One other thing, we talked about your love for music, right? What are a couple of your favorite bands you love to listen to?
So I'm not really a band person, I'd say. I think I'm more of like an individual artist. So recently I just upgraded to Spotify Premium, which is like the present I had for myself this year. And I added all of the Weeknd songs on my playlist. So
Man.
The Weeknd, I'd say, is one of my top artists.
Okay, The Weeknd. All right, so Giuliano, we kind of heard a little bit there about some of Yana's musical interests. She's not a band person, more about that individual artist. I think some of my kids are, Taylor Swift in particular, right? Goodness gracious, my whole Luton family, massive Swifties. But Giuliano, how about you? If you're driving down the road in the beautiful Carolina weather in the early fall, it's crisp, what's turned up on in your car stereo?
I'm very old fashioned. I do 60s and 70s, like classic rock and rolls. I'm a really old soul, and nothing after the 80s I will listen, I think. So
I love it.
James Joplin, Beatles, Elvis Presley, big Elvis fan. So AC/DC and that kind of thing. Aerosmith. That's my vibe.
The hits. I love it. Nothing younger than the 80s. I love that musical interest there. All right. So Aiden, I want to get to know you a little better, and then we're going to get into talking about all sorts of different supply chain topics. Aiden, your next semester, though, will be spent abroad in beautiful Santiago, Chile. What is one thing that you're looking forward most to about that next semester?
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to some of the classes I'm going to be taking at the university there. But the thing I'm most looking forward to is getting down to Patagonia and doing some hiking down there. I love spending time outdoors, hiking, skiing, surfing, whatever it might be. And it's just one of the most beautiful places in the world. So I'm absolutely thrilled to make my way down there.
Aiden, man, what an opportunity. All right, so send us a picture of you cresting those mountains, those beautiful mountains, and all that scenery. And one more follow-up question with you. So we've mentioned you're from the Philly area, but you're not a Phillies fan. You're a Dodgers fan. I'm going to get you to weigh in because you know better than most when it comes to Philly cheesesteak sandwiches. Is it Pat's or Geno's? Which one's truly the king?
Pat's every day is the king of states. It's the original. I will say, though, that's a classic competition right there down in South Philly. But there's so many other places in the city that get slept on. And I'd have to give a shout out to D'Alessandro's. Absolutely my favorite cheesesteak now. They cut a little finer and it's delicious.
Oh, D'Alessandro's. I've heard about that place. Okay. Well, thank you for weighing in, giving all of our listeners out there and viewers out there a tip next time you're in the Philadelphia area. And Giuliano, I've got one more question for you. Now that we know your musical tastes, and a few other things, what is one thing you do in your free time when you're not, helping to turn light bulbs on and bright young minds like the folks here?
Yeah, so I love to spend time with my daughters. I have an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old, and I like to go outside and play some tennis. So I'm teaching them some tennis, and we have ups and downs. Sometimes it's too cold, sometimes it's too hot, right? So when I get that sweet spot is when they enjoy it a lot. So a little bit of pickleball as well. I like to spend time with them.
I was just about to ask you about pickleball because that is taking over the world, folks. Y'all might, at some point in your career, you might play a part in managing pickleball supply chain because it is just blowing up. I'll tell you what. And one last thing, time is fleeting. So I'm like you. I've got 3 kids, and every chance I can get to spend time, annoy them with my dad jokes, but really just spend time with them. It's precious, very precious, finite supply of that. All right. So Julie, Aiden, Giuliano, and Yana, great to have y'all here. Now that we kind of know a little more about you, as I shared, USC is my alma mater. Let's see, I spent from 1996 to 2000 there in Columbia. Lived at the old Whaley's Mill, which I think has been repurposed. And I was thinking about some other places I hung out once or twice, and I'm going to see if y'all recognize any of these places, okay? Groucho's, Harper's, Bar None, and the Art Bar in the Vista. Are any of those still around? Yeah, we're getting some head nods. Okay. All right. I know Groucho's in because they've kind of expanded, and I can get their sandwich now in my hometown of Aiken, South Carolina. So a lot of good memories there. Giuliano, I got one other question. So we're talking food, talking sandwiches, whether it's cheesesteaks or Groucho's STP dipper, which is my go-to. You grew up in the beautiful country of Brazil. So when you go back to visit, what's one delicious food dish that you just got to have?
Yes, I grew up in Brazil. I've been living in the U.S. for 10 years. I'm actually going to Brazil tomorrow to go back to visit family for Christmas. So that's a very tough question. I think the barbecue is the most kind of commonly known in the United States. But we have another dish called feijoada, which is beans that are cooked in a big pan with a lot of pork, all different kinds of pork inside, and cooked for a long time with a lot of our different spices. And that's a dish what you eat with a lot of other stuff, and that's what it's more difficult to find here. So here at least they can find decent meat, or Brazilian steakhouse places. So it's easy to go there, but some things are so specific that's only going there I can eat them.
Sounds absolutely delicious. Feijoada. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to learn a new recipe maybe when you get back. You got to bring it back. Even if your folks won't give you the recipe, hey, come on, do your magic and bring it back with you. Now, for a little more context, right, before we dive into various parts of global supply chain that Yana, Aiden, and Julie are real passionate about, because I'm going to be getting your thoughts throughout, let's learn a little bit more about your practitioner background and your current role. So, Giuliano, if you tell us more.
Yeah, sure. So as I said, I've been living in the U.S. for 10 years. So before that, I worked as a consultant for 11 years in Brazil. I had my own consulting company, and I worked for a lean institute in Brazil as well. So I worked with a lot of Brazilian and multinational companies there. I came to U.S. I lived in Ohio for a year. I worked for Ohio State. So I started working with American companies there, Fisher College of Business. And since 2015, I've been here at USC. And here we have, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. We have an amazing program that has a lot of interaction with industry, and that's our strong characteristic and very unique. So we partner with companies, and the students have an opportunity, as Aiden already did and Julie did 1 and 2 semesters ago, and Yana is going to do it soon. And which is we partner with these companies, and we do really front burner important strategic projects for them, and that allows the students to interact with the companies like a job for them. We give them a lot of homework during the weekends, weekdays, and everything. And you can see that they're very passionate. Class is already finished. They're already off the hook, but I still can get them to come here and talk to you for this time, so in India or whatever they are. So that's how passionate they are in representing us. So been working with these companies, done I think almost 60 of those consultant projects in this last decade, and also teach 2 courses, core operations management and Lean Six Sigma Green Belt course. But most of my time, I would say, are dedicated to working with these consulting projects.
Love it, man. I love the practical experience that the students are getting out there. Again, already making their impact felt. I mean, that's the whole reason why we named this whole kind of series within a series, the Now Generation, because they're not just going through taking classes and graduating and then get out in the industry. They're already doing it, right? They're already doing it. All right. So now we're going to dive in a little bit more, starting with Julie, and we're going to find out, when they survey global supply chain, what's one niche or sector or aspect of it all that they're really passionate about and they're really interested in. And Julie, for you, I believe that is continuous improvement in the nonprofit space, especially leveraging what Giuliano mentioned, Lean Six Sigma. So tell us more about what you see, the opportunity you see there, Julie.
Yeah, so I did the Capstone Consulting project last spring semester, so spring 2024. and earned my green belt. And since then, I've done a couple internships in kind of more, they're not specifically nonprofits, but in more of like a mission kind of focused environment, right. And that's something I've really enjoyed being part of and passionate about. So thinking about how nonprofits can use Lean Six Sigma to improve their processes and kind of make their impact even more than it already is. For example, I wasn't on the team myself, but we have a team that partners with Harvest Hope Food Bank. And so the projects there are literally helping that food bank feed more people in South Carolina.
That is outstanding. And gosh, when you think about missions to apply your skill set and your practitioner tool belt to, nonprofits like that, got to be really a fulfilling way of doing that. So one quick follow-up question for you, Julie, and I hope I don't get in trouble here by asking this question. I've done a little bit of stuff in Lean and Six Sigma, and I love how we marry those methodologies, those mindsets, those tool belts together to drive even more effective change. But if I ask you, do you like more of the Lean, where you're, it's the striving to eliminate waste in all of its many forms, or Six Sigma, where you're trying to ratchet up, minimize defects and really ratchet up the consistency and the robustitude, I'll call it, of processes? Which do you like, one side more than the other, Julie?
I don't think I like one side more than the other. I think maybe Lean sometimes is a little more easy for people to understand, since like there's waste in literally everything. So I think it's easy to recognize where different wastes, whether it's movement or all the other kinds of waste.
That's right. Tim Woods, right? Tim Woods. I think that acronym still applies.
Tim Wood, yes.
Tim Wood. Yeah, that's right.
I'm just going to add to that is that so we teach a very kind of holistic perspective. We don't teach them kind of separately. We kind of develop our own kind of framework that is mostly based on Six Sigma, but we also use linear programming and process optimization, process model. We kind of tied into, they learn inventory management, they learn other, optimization techniques to go within the logic of solving problems, because every problem can have a different tool to be solved, right? So we kind of teach them in a way that they can kind of adapt, adjust whatever the company that they're going to work on is doing or focusing more.
I love that. And it sounds, in my ears at least, first time hearing that, it's more practical and it's more flexible and nimble based on the problem at hand. And I do not miss the statistics side of Six Sigma in my background. So that challenged my math with 2 Fs, my math skills in entirely new, unique ways. But Julie, I love it. I can't wait to see the impact you make in the nonprofit space. And we'll have to have you back on once you get out there and keep kicking a dent in the universe. Yana, a little different one for you. As we're doing our homework about you, and gathering our due diligence, and you're really passionate about ethical sourcing and fair labor practices, and how we can really bring supply chain to bear to do good in this world. Tell us more about that, Yana.
Yeah, I think in general, my interest just sparks with people and understanding individual behavior. And I think, in general, after COVID, supply chain has just become a lot more globalized in the way we kind of rely on third world countries to get a lot of the sourcing and things we need just to make products in the U.S. And in high school, I worked for an international organization where I did a bunch of work in third world countries, and I did a lot of trips to these countries, and I saw it from a humanitarian side, and now I'm seeing it from a business setting as well. And it's kind of just a full circle moment. I mean, in class, one thing we've been following a lot that really piques my interest is kind of how Apple has been under the spotlight recently for their labor practices and how they've been kind of changing the way, they educate their employees, including the SEED program. I'm pretty sure, we learned something about that. It's called like the Supplier Employee Education Program. And it's basically teaching Apple employees how to work with, especially Southeastern Asian countries where a lot of the third world practices and sourcing is coming from. So I think it's helping add a lot of value to their sourcing strategy. And I guess I'm just interested to see what ways policies and other factors kind of impact the global business landscape.
Yana, I love that. And I'll tell you, one of my favorite applications of technology in the modern global supply chain management is our ability to really vet and really ensure that certain products are coming from certain places. It's conflict free. It doesn't take advantage, unfortunately, of human slavery, which in 2024, I shudder to think it's still as prevalent as what it is around the globe, here in the U.S. and around the globe. And supply chains are in unique positions, including using technologies like blockchain and many others to ensure that we source the right way, right? And so, Yana, I can't wait to see what you do as you apply that passion out into supply chain, the world of supply chain. Giuliano, what'd you hear there? That is quite a noble mission, huh?
Yeah, that's great, and I think as being an international person like Yana is, and her relatives in third world countries like I do as well, we know a little bit of this reality, which is very, very different than the reality that people have if you were born and only lived in the United States. So I think it's really great that our program, we have a lot of international relationships. The students can go anywhere, and we have, I don't know how many, 30 different places to go every year. So students go to Chile, for example, like Aiden is doing, or Europe or Asia or Africa, and they can really get that world mindset and trying to understand how these kind of very, very hard realities are happening everywhere in the world, and you're dealing with these people because you're sending your orders to buying from China, from India, from Brazil, from Mexico, whatever it is. But then the situation of that plant, that facility, is very different than the situation that people are having here in the United States. I'm very fortunate to be here. That's one of the reasons I left, and I'm here. But I think that our program kind of has this kind of amazing experience, and students talk and they find out where the best places to go, and a lot of them go and do those international assignments.
As much as we're talking about supply chain's unique ability to do something about this and address some of these grievances, as consumers, and we're all consumers, we have more reason than perhaps ever before to do our homework and vote with our dollars, right? And invest in those brands that are actually looking for ways to eliminate some of these awful things that take place across the globe that we need to remedy. So Yana, I can't wait to see what you do as you put your passion to work. And Aiden, we've got quite the firecracker here as we wrap here, because for you, your passions, geopolitical, supply chain resiliency, reshoring, nearshoring, goodness gracious, tariffs. Anyone heard 17 million conversations around tariffs these days? Aiden, tell us more about your passion in these areas.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think this initial interest came a lot from my coursework last spring when I got started with the international business classes, and kind of found out about the intersection between geopolitics and supply chain and how prevalent that's going to be moving forward. Because at this stage in time, a lot of companies have started to realize that low-cost sourcing of manufacturing and materials is not all that matters anymore. And they've got to consider a whole lot more than that, such as political instability in different countries, different trade restrictions, and those tariffs that you mentioned, which we are certainly hearing quite a lot about now, and I'm sure we will moving forward too, and supplier diversification, making sure that the raw materials and tiered suppliers aren't coming from unethical labor sources or anything like that. And so I think one perfect example of this, and where companies are really paying attention, is in the semiconductor industry. We've seen quite a lot of talk, especially with the CHIPS Act a couple years ago, of companies moving their manufacturing centers away from China and Taiwan to the United States, and the government investing quite a lot in those. So I find that intersection of geopolitics and supply chain quite fascinating.
Hey, we all do. and it's probably about to get a whole bunch more fascinating in the months to come. But hey, that goes to the territory, right? As supply chain pros, you deal with things within your control, you deal with things outside of your control, and of course, that latter, oftentimes regulatory, governmental policy, you name it, across what's truly is, as one of our prior guests put it, the best global team sport in the entire world, being supply chain management. And I think this conversation reflects that in many ways. Aiden, a lot of good stuff. Giuliano, are y'all getting a lot of, we're recording this in December, and we're publishing this when folks hear that in January. And so there'll be plenty of things between the time we record to the time we release, probably about tariffs and some of these things that will play out. But how many are you talking daily with about trade and tariffs and automation, for that matter, with students where there's spirited positions on all sides of these topics?
Yeah, so we've been hearing from the companies a lot about that. So we were actually doing a final presentation a couple weeks ago, and the head of it was a big automotive company, one of the largest in the world, and the head of purchasing was there, and he looked at the maintenance. We're doing a project about maintenance spare parts, and then look at the maintenance head of maintenance, say, where are your parts coming from? Because maybe we're going to buy a lot of parts here in December, because we don't know if the tariffs are going to change in January. So we need to know all your parts, how many of them are coming from Mexico, how many of them are coming from China. We need to know ASAP, because we're trying to buy it all now so we don't have tariffs for next year. So this is happening now as we talk. Companies are kind of reviewing how they're doing this business. Another one of our tire manufacturing companies, they were planning to do a project on nearshoring or friendshoring, which is what Aiden was talking about. And we talked 4 months ago, and that's what they wanted. We scoped the project. Everything was done. It was like, it's better to produce in Mexico or the United States. We got all things discussed. And then, after the election, they said, scratch the project. We don't need that anymore. We need to do something else. But they're all thinking about that, and no one knows exactly what's going to happen. So there are more and more doubts in the heads of supply chain people, saying, should we build a plant in Mexico? Should we expand in the United States? Should we buy from somewhere else? We need to figure it out, and it's very tough. So they mentioned companies that start their plant and just gave up in the middle of construction because the tariffs change.
Wow.
So yeah.
Well, so for good,
billions of dollars there.
For good or for bad, we're going to get a lot more clarity in this big old equation in the weeks to come. So it's an intriguing time for a variety of reasons, from AI to governmental policy to sustainability to some of the other challenges that Julie and Aiden and Yana are setting out to change. It's an intriguing time to be in global supply chain. All right, I'll circle back around to Julie, because I want to ask each of our panelists what they want to do in industry and why. So, Julie, when you think of all the different roles, all sorts of different leadership positions in global supply chain, what do you want to do and why?
I hate that. Like, I love it, but I hate it. I feel like with supply chain, the hard thing is there's so many different things, obviously, that you can do. So finding like your little spot. I'm starting after I graduate this summer as a quality engineer at Raytheon. So I'm kind of moving into the quality world. We'll see how that goes. I'm excited to learn a lot of different things, but from there, I think working at Raytheon is very it's kind of like that I talked about before, with like it's very mission focused. So right. I think that kind of goes hand in hand with the nonprofits. I love volunteering, so I think maybe I'll kind of get that nonprofit on the side and just see where it goes from there, where I can make a difference.
And you're going to have lots of opportunities probably to volunteer within the massive enterprise that is Raytheon. In quality, that's so interesting. You shared that, Julie, because we were kind of making that supply chain joke earlier about first pass yield with your ornament work. But now you're moving into a quality position at a really wonderful manufacturer. That's exciting, Julie.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, Yana, I want to switch over to you. So when you think about all the different positions and leadership positions and roles that exist out there in global supply chain, what one sticks out that you want to do and why?
At the end of the day, I've kind of always said I just wanted to be part of a team. I worked with Boeing this past summer, and that was a ginormous team. Going to Northrop Grumman this upcoming summer in Arizona, which will be a whole different side. I've always said I've, been very interested in defense, which is inspired by my uncle. He was in the Navy for almost 18 years, so I knew I
Wow.
kind of wanted to fall in that track and give back to my country in some way. And I just think a defense company is kind of where I think I can make the most impact doing that. I think, too, at some point, working in education is definitely in the cards. I think I personally, did not know what supply chain was until my freshman year of college. And I kind of want to change that a little bit, making high school students more aware about what supply chain is as early as possible would be great. I think, we talked to a panel, Aiden and I talked to a panel that Dr. Marodin also helped put on for a supply chain high school program that is in South Carolina. And it's amazing to see how much experience, education, all the real world knowledge they had at just like 16 or 17 years old. So kind of being able to replicate that in more than one community at more than one school, I think would help facilitate the change that we need to kind of capture the best that's in the years to come with not just people, but just the supply chain world in general.
Yana, I love it. And gosh, to work with Boeing and Northrop Grumman this early in your career, that is remarkable. And I love your emphasis there on awareness, because Giuliano, I want to get you to weigh in. Global supply chain wins when we're bringing in talent from all walks of life, all functional areas, all passions, because the creativity that is required. It's not just solve problems, but to drive innovations and to change how we run and lead supply chains. Man, we all benefit from that plethora of diversity, at least in my view. Giuliano, speak to that and speak to that awareness effort that we all have a burden, a responsibility to do, so more folks know, kind of like Yana. She said she didn't know what supply chain did until a freshman, right, Yana? Is that right? I was basically the same way. I never toured a plant until after high school. Man, what a missed opportunity that was. Giuliano, speak to that if you would.
Yes, I think Yana was talking about an initiative that we had partnered with Greer High School. So there is a few programs in South Carolina that are teaching supply chain in a high school level. We have about 5 or 6 that we are in contact with. So we start talking to those programs. We work with South Carolina Competes as well, which is another organization that goes through high school and middle schools and start talking about supply chain. They do little games and start to talk to the students about what it is. So that's amazing for us, and we're involved in these kinds of initiatives. Internally at USC, we kind of found out as well that students were taking too much time to understand what supply chain is. So I'm part of a recruiting committee. We go to freshman classes and we talk about supply chain. We have like a 20 minutes presentation, which is all of them had. We recorded a video with our alumni talking about their experience. We played the video. And then and that kind of bumps our numbers of supply chain students up. We now have 800 students in our major. So it's the third largest majors in the business school. And we're really, really proud of that. But there's a lot to be done. I think maybe one of the only things good about COVID is a lot of people talk about supply chain, right? So and students come, and high school students come already knowing about supply chain a little bit more than they did 10 years ago, and that's because of COVID. And several students actually, or young people, noticed supply chain importance because things were lacking in their house.
Right.
So I think we had a bump in kind of interest there, and we need to keep it high, and we're trying as much as possible, but yeah, it's a constant effort.
Hey, it was unwanted advertising, but it was still effective, to your point. And hey, if I'm a big believer in looking at the silver lining from the the really black clouds and all the hurt that the pandemic brought all of us, right? And if we can just remember some of those lessons learned, right, we're going to be better off as an industry, including more folks being aware of what supply chain means and what we do. Aiden, okay, so Julie and Yana, I really appreciated kind of learning more about what they want to do in global supply chain. How about you, Aiden?
Yeah, so I think like Julie, this is definitely a difficult question to answer. And the way that I hope to figure that out is by entering consulting after I graduate. So there's not really one area of an industry or a supply chain function that really jumps out to me quite yet. So I hope to kind of understand all that's out there and available to me by pursuing consulting and getting a really wide range of exposure. So I want to see how supply chain fits in within global businesses on a whole, and how what that really looks like. I'd love to kind of come in with the supply chain mindset that I think students from the Moore School are equipped with, the mindset of problem solving and continuous improvement that we especially get from those Capstone Consulting projects. So hopefully going to figure out what's out there and hopefully get some exposure to different functions too, such as supply chain sustainability, maybe that geopolitics side of things that I mentioned as well, and even more of the operational side of things, whether that's with private equity or within other businesses as well.
Okay. So you like kind of like the Baskin Robbins approach where you want to taste this flavor and that flavor and that flavor. I love that.
Yep.
And, I think there's a lot of folks in industry, not just supply chain, that really want to try new things. Every so often, Julie talked about wanting to volunteer a lot. And the beauty of volunteering, whether it's at your job, so to speak, or if it's your own company or out in the nonprofit world, is you meet new people and you pick up new things, you learn new challenges, new complexities, and all of that helps you on your professional journey. So I love that, Aiden. And I'll just unsolicited advice, after you really nail down your consulting approach, make about, 3 or 4 digital twins of Aiden Anderson, and that way you can invoice in triplicate. Okay, does that sound like a deal, Aiden?
Sure thing.
Giuliano, I'll tell you, especially given your consulting background, what comes to mind as Aiden talks about his passion and his desire to get out there and consult and kind of see all different aspects of global supply chain?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. That's how I started in consulting. Just while I was in college, I was already doing consulting, and I think it's because I couldn't make a decision, right? So I just tried to do all at the same time. I was teaching, research, consulting, doing all together. But the consulting will teach you that all different each different company is a different reality. So you're even if you think about supply chain has all these different functions, okay, but the same function in another company is totally different. Right. So we deal with a chemical company. Being a purchaser, doing purchasing in a chemical company is totally different than in a tire manufacturing, and then a ball bearing manufacturer, or a small company or a big company. Depending on the industry and the business that you are, the same function or the same level in the same area could be totally different. So consulting give you that experience, and it allows you to understand all those different worlds that happen and inside each company, and it's really fun. Sometimes you get lonely because you're traveling a lot and you're not meeting too much people. You meet a lot of people, but you don't create connections, and then it's the time that you need to step out and go more into other businesses.
Well, and I'll add to that, consulting, as you try and you're learning all these different niches that make up global supply chain, you're going to find those that you love, and then you're going to find those that you never want to see again. Not people, but functional areas and problems and sectors. So I can't wait to get an update from you, Aiden, in a couple of years. Really, from all three of y'all, Yana and Julie and Aiden. I can't wait to see what y'all do in global supply chain. So let's do this. USC's operations and supply chain program has been really successful. It's grown tremendously. Giuliano, I don't have all and there's plenty of rankings out there, by the way, folks. Y'all should check it out. Plenty of rankings. But Gartner's probably want to look at the most because we have a lot of folks from Gartner with us all the time. And I don't have the one from a couple of years ago, but I think USC has skyrocketed up that top 25 list. So I want to ask our panel here, what's part of the success formula, right? And don't give me any secret aspects of that recipe, because USC probably has an army of attorneys, and I want to stay on the good side. So, Julie, what makes USC's operations and supply chain program so successful, and what's been one way it's prepared you for a very successful career journey to come?
Definitely. I'll say the one that I'm sure that we're all probably thinking, which is the experience of the Capstone Consulting project. It lets you like real world apply something, fix a real problem, but also how to just like the professional communication aspect of how to work on a project with a team of students, but also communicating with the team at the company. So being able to apply the Lean Six Sigma, solve a real problem, it really like fully prepares you to work in the real world in an internship and a full-time job.
It all comes together, and it gives you a no training wheels opportunity to apply it. Is that what I'm hearing, Julie?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the part that makes it less scary is that all of the teams have we all have a faculty advisor that are with us every step of the way and make sure that we're not going too far off the wrong road. Yeah.
Interesting. I had a dear friend and dear partner who used to join me for a lot of these shows, and he would talk often about going fast isn't always helpful, especially if you're going in the wrong direction, right? It doesn't matter if you're 0 to 60 in 3 seconds if you're going in the wrong direction. But Julie, I really appreciate that, and having those constant advisors, especially that are practitioners like Giuliano, that's got to be extremely, extremely valuable. Yeah, Yana, how about you? What would you add? What makes a program successful, and how has it specifically prepared you?
Yeah, Aiden and I are both also student ambassadors for the Moore School. So it's like our elevator pitch that we get every freshman to consider, being a supply chain major as soon as they step foot on Darla. But honestly, a program that grew from 70 students to almost 800 plus now in a span of 8 years, now ranks number 3 across the country. And we just won the UPS George C. Smith prize from Informs as the best supply chain program across the world. I feel like that kind of just speaks for itself as to how successful our program is. And, kind of just going off of what Julie said, I think each professor in our program just cares so much about the success of their students and drives us to build our skill sets through kind of experiential learning. All of our students, I think we care so much about each other as well. We're a very interconnected group of individuals. We all filter kind of through one supply chain club that's completely student run. Now we have 400 plus members. So we're all under one branch of this ginormous tree. So, whether it's our capstone project, our APIC certification class, each of our classes in procurement, transportation, service operations, sustainability, there's just so much within the program that truly touches on every facet of the supply chain, I'd say. And all of our learning is very intentional. It's all done from a very holistic point of view. So whether it's through the internship support, in-class support, even outside the classroom support, I would say the program shapes us to not only be better supply chain professionals, but honestly, better people too, just in the way we deal with individuals. And I'd say I've seen a lot of changes in myself and just the way I run a team and manage, working on different teams because of this program.
Wow, that is quite a testimonial. I'm going to get Giuliano to respond to that in just a second. I want to round things out by getting Aiden's response too. And then Giuliano will get your thoughts on what we're hearing here from this panel that clearly are remarkable ambassadors for the program. So Aiden, same 2-part question. What makes it so successful, and how has it specifically prepared you to do big things?
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely second what Julie and Yana mentioned there with the professional experience and development through the Capstone Consulting project, the amazing faculty that we have, and of course the Informs Award just speaks volumes to that, with the best management science supply chain department in the entire world. But one thing I'll kind of round out here is just the general ecosystem, environment, and culture that we have at the Moore School is absolutely phenomenal. And what I mean by that is the organizations that we have, as well as just the constant cycle of mentorship that is readily available to students. So like Yana mentioned, both of us are very involved in Scope. I served as president over this past year, and Yana will be taking the reins over for this upcoming year. So super excited for her. But that's just one of many absolutely fantastic organizations that we have. So another example too would be the Gamecock Consulting Club, which I joined past fall as a sophomore. And that's kind of what set me on the route of consulting. And in addition to that, there's so many opportunities for students to find mentors and really support each other. So the Moore School itself does a Moore School alumni mentorship program. I got matched up with a gentleman last fall who studied supply chain and finance, now works at Microsoft, and just learned so much from him over the course of the semester. This semester, I was learning from somebody who's a director at Amazon, got a promotion there almost every single year, and graduated, I think, about 6-7 years ago. And I mean, to be at the director level out already is phenomenal. And so to get the mentorship from them has been incredible. And of course, it's one thing to get those kind of learnings from alumni, but you also see that same kind of push and care amongst students themselves. So students are always looking out for each other, checking in if they're getting internships, if how well they're interviewing, if they need to practice interviewing, anything like that. So I think as a result, as you've heard, Yana, myself, Julie, and I have all had incredible internship experiences. And I think that's largely in part due to that culture we have at the Moore School.
Aiden, man, and I'm glad you chose the word culture near the end of your response, because Giuliano, as I'm listening to Julie and Yana and Aiden talk, and this doesn't always come out in our conversations as part of the now generation, but really two things that's undeniable is a relationship piece amongst the community, right? That makes up the program. And then that cultural piece, that enablement, that empowering, that, we're going to put you in position to be successful under the right cultural umbrella. That is palpable. But Giuliano, that's kind of one of the main common threads I heard amongst those three responses. What'd you hear?
Yeah, they're probably going to say a lot better than I would. So I'll try to match that, right? So I think it was a fairly new program, right, compared to other ones that are 40 years in the market. A university that's growing a lot in the last 20 years in terms of size and importance. So it was built around how can we have the best experience for a student and have a body of faculty that really cares about that, right? So we have some faculty that are more interested in the research side as well, which is very important to some of the ranking, right? But we have a good group of faculty that is dedicated into getting that experience to the students and prepare them to the job market. And throughout the years, I think we hired a lot of great people to work through this program to create this kind of culture that we have now. And I think also the fact that they're going to have a real project actually touches every course, because if you're teaching something and maybe a group of students will come 2 semesters from now and say, how can I apply this into the company, because we need this to be working. And I think kind of in the mindset of every faculty in our department is that I have to teach something that is applicable, right? I can't teach something that's like out of the moon and no one will understand, because in a few semesters a group of students will come to me and we'll need to apply that. So I think that creates kind of really a responsibility of our faculty. And I got into this mix 10 years ago that cares about the student so much and how they going to. We're not a program that's been there for like 40 years and will last another 100. We don't need to care about anything and things will just keep on. We're a program that we're very kind of mindset into helping students. So for example, we have a workshop that we do every semester to train students for resumes, for apply for jobs, and something that's customized for our supply chain. And that's something that the faculty came and say, let's do that, right? We have a list of all the emails of every student, and we faculty send them job openings every week and internships every week. And even the other majors in our school don't have that, and other schools never heard about that. When I say I receive job openings all the time, and I send to students, faculty from other colleges that, oh, I never do that, because there's this care about the future of our student. I think it's an amazing thing that we have at USC.
Amazing indeed. Amazing indeed. So if we were to flip the script on it a little bit, Giuliano, the best educators, professional educators, kind of much like in your role, practitioner educators, I'll call it, view this as a two-way street. As they give and give and give and kind of pour into their students' journeys to, graduating and going on to kick their own dent in the universe, they get back they get back in so many different levels. What is one of your favorite aspects of engaging with people like Julie and Aiden and Yana?
I think we do these capstone projects with a semester long, and the first day we go to the company, and the last day we go to the company, right? And there's two different people. There is this group of students in the first day which are shy and don't know what to say and don't know anything about the business. And I can see them growing into, and the last day they're very confident. And I think that's one of the maybe most important parts, that soft skills that they develop during the project are as important or maybe more important than the hard skills, because the hard skills anyone can learn, but the soft skills are the ones that you need to sit with them and spend hours and hours and help them through the whole process. And at the end of the semester, it seems like they've been working in the company for like 5 years, and they know all the names and they know all the jargons and all the acronyms, and Julie knows everything about tires, and Aiden know everything about ball bearings and maintenance. And it looks like someone that's been working in the company and just have so much confidence in what they're doing, because if you only teach a tool, they don't know if that's usable or not. They don't know if that makes any sense or not, right? You're just getting it and writing down the question for the exam. But when they see, oh, that tool, I can do this math, and actually I'm doing better than the company's doing because I use this, their confidence level go up. And to see that, it's amazing. And other thing amazing is just to wait 2-3 years and talk to them again, and then see how after they graduate, where they are. So we had an event last week. I have a chance to talk to a few alumni. One is in the Scout Motors, looking for where to purchase parts from this new plant that's going to be here in Columbia, and there's going to take 2 years for them to buy, and she's looking at contracts and stuff like that. So and other alumni that we talked, that's very rewarding.
Love it. So Giuliano, thank you so much for addressing and kind of talking about some of the things that you just love about what you do day in and day out. I want to do this. I want to make sure that our global audience, the smartest audience in all of global supply chain, know how to connect with all of y'all, right? They may want to talk shop. Who knows? They may want to bring you in and do some consulting with them, or they may want to hire you. Who knows? Or maybe do some keynotes. I want to go around the horn. Before I do that, I want to call one event out, and that's the Spring 2025 Industry Showcase. And that's where I think, Giuliano, you bring a bunch of companies as well as current students, past students that come in and network and learn. You have presentations and whatnot. That is scheduled for Tuesday, April 29th, right? So a few months down the road. And if you're interested, I bet, Giuliano, you welcome all calls, emails, you name it, about that event. Is that right? Awesome. Well, let's stick with you for a second. Giuliano, how can folks connect with Dr. Giuliano Marodin, Continental Chair Professor in Operations and Supply Chain at the Moore School of Business at the University of South Carolina?
Yes, please do. If you have internships, job positions for the students, do you want to talk about supply chain? Yes, please connect. You just type my name, Google my name, you're going to find my email everywhere. So even rate my professor, whatever you want to read, that's okay. We have a LinkedIn page of our Operations and Supply Chain Center. We have 3,400 students and alumni right now. So that's one of the platforms that we talk about what's happening, what's going on with the program, or connect me in LinkedIn. email, it's online. As a faculty, you have the profile there. So I'm very, very excited
It's all
to
out
talk
there.
about supply chain. Yes, I have no secrets for an academic.
Folks, you could tell that's a pretty earnest invitation. So definitely connect with Giuliano and figure out how you can plug into this powerful ecosystem and program that is the Operations and Supply Chain Program at USC. Okay, Julie, how can folks track you down and connect with you?
Probably always on LinkedIn. If you type in my name, you'll see my face. There I am. Yeah, message. Feel free to text, message. Yeah, anything.
Okay. So you'll find Julie Crouse on LinkedIn as well. Yana Patel, how about you?
Same as Julie, always on LinkedIn. So happy to chat, answer any questions, learn from other people's experiences, and just have another connection, honestly.
And as incoming president of Scope, right? I'm sure you welcome folks that want to give back or give forward, as we call it around here at Supply Chain Now, the companies or individuals that want to invest and help support. I'm assuming you welcome those types of conversations too, huh?
Yes, of course, always.
Wonderful. Yana, that's awesome. And congrats on this new leadership role at Scope.
Yeah.
Aiden Anderson, how can folks track you down and talk shop with you?
Yeah, going to be the same as Julie and Yana. LinkedIn is definitely the easiest way to find me. Just be sure to spell my first name with an E, so you don't find a different Aiden Anderson. But you can find me on there, and I've got my contact info listed. So feel free to shoot me an email. And similar to Yana, open to any conversations about Scope or anything else. Always happy to chat.
Awesome. I appreciate that, Aiden and Yana and Julie. I can't wait to see what y'all. The impact y'all continue to have, because you're already having it. And Giuliano, thank you so much for helping to facilitate making today's conversation happen. I can't wait to maybe be a part of one of y'all's industry showcases down the road a little bit.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
You bet. Okay, folks, what a great conversation. Man, the conversations like this make us feel really fantastic, exceptional about the path ahead. And the bright leaders that will be shaping global supply chain management for the better in the days, the weeks, the months, and the years ahead. But I want to challenge you one thing. I heard I've got 18 pages of notes from Julie and Aiden and Giuliano and Yana. But I want to call one thing out, because I love Yana's comment about how this program makes her and makes the students a better person. And that's like at least half the battle, folks, right? And to recognize that and find ways and be around people and communities and resources that allow you to become that better person, that better leader. That is music to my ears, bands or individual artists, no matter. So folks, I want to challenge you. Take one thing you heard here from Julie, Aiden, Yana, and Giuliano and put it into practice, right? Share it with the team, share it with your friends and family, right? It's all about deeds, not words. And with all that said, on behalf of the entire team here at Supply Chain Now, Scott Luton challenging you, do good, give forward, be the change that's needed. And we'll see you next time right back here at Supply Chain Now. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for being a part of our Supply Chain Now community. Check out all of our programming at supplychainnow.com and make sure you subscribe to Supply Chain Now anywhere you listen to podcasts. And follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. See you next time on Supply Chain Now.